You think no contact is supposed to bring them back, but most of the time, it brings something far more important first, the truth. You think silence is a strategy to win them over, but if you use it right, it becomes the strategy that wins you back. Right now, you probably want a clean answer. You want somebody to tell you yes, if you disappear long enough, they'll feel the loss, they'll miss you, they'll come back, they'll finally understand your value. And I get why you want that, because pain always looks for a shortcut. Rejection always looks for a loophole. When your heart gets hit, your mind starts bargaining. Maybe if I wait, maybe if I pull back, maybe if I say nothing, maybe then they'll realize, maybe then they'll return. But here's what it really means, and you need to hear this without sugar on top. No contact is not a spell you cast on another person. It is a boundary you set around your own life. It is not mainly about controlling their emotions. It is about stopping your own emotional bleeding. It is not about making them choose you. It is about finally choosing yourself enough to stop begging reality to be something it isn't. That's the thesis. Hold on to it. Because if you don't, you'll misuse the whole thing. You'll call it healing while secretly using it as bait. You'll say, "I'm moving on," while checking your phone every 11 minutes. You'll post stories you hope they see. You'll rehearse cold responses to texts they haven't even sent. You'll act silent on the outside while screaming for validation on the inside. That is not no contact. That's emotional negotiation. That's called withdrawal with an audience in mind. And if you need truth like this on a regular basis, subscribe. Not because I need a number, because you need reminders when your feelings start rewriting the facts. You need somebody to tell you the truth when loneliness makes weakness sound romantic. You need clarity when your mind starts turning self-abandonment into loyalty. Subscribe if you're serious about hearing what helps, not just what soothes. Now let's go deeper. The biggest misconception about no contact is that it is mainly about them. Their reaction, their regret, their curiosity, their panic, their fear of losing you, their return. That's the fantasy. That's where most people live. Not in reality, in fantasy. And fantasy is seductive because fantasy lets you stay passive while feeling like you're still doing something. You're not reaching out, so it feels disciplined. You're not double texting, so it feels strong. But internally, you're still orbiting them. You're still measuring your worth by their next move. You're still emotionally on call for somebody who either walked away, pulled back, disrespected you, kept you confused, or made it clear they were no longer willing to meet you where you stood. That is the hard truth. If no contact is just a silent attempt to get a response, then they still own your center. And if they still own your center, you're not free. That's why people suffer through no contact instead of growing through it. Because they enter it with the wrong motive. They think silence itself is the medicine. It's not. Silence only helps when it changes what you're attached to. Silence only helps when it cuts the drip feed of false hope. Silence only helps when you stop using their attention as proof that you matter. Read that again in your mind. You are not trying to survive without a text. You are trying to survive without needing a text to feel okay. That's different. One is behavioral, the other is spiritual. One is about what you do with your thumbs, the other is about what you do with your identity. And that's where this gets uncomfortable, because the reason no contact feels so brutal is not just that you miss them. It's that the relationship, or even the possibility of the relationship, became tied to your self-concept. It became tied to how desirable you feel, how chosen you feel, how secure you feel, how valuable you feel. So when they withdraw, it doesn't only hurt your heart, it threatens your ego, it shakes your status in your own mind, it pokes every unhealed place that says, if they don't want me, maybe I'm not enough. That's the root cause. The obsession is not really about love. Not always. Sometimes it is. But a lot of the time it's about attachment, pride, fear, abandonment, loneliness, wounded self-worth, and the deep human craving to reverse a painful verdict. You don't just want them. You want relief. You want the pain to mean something different. You want the ending to be edited. You want the story to say, they came back. Because then maybe the part of you that feels discarded can breathe again. But listen carefully. A person returning is not proof that the relationship is healthy. A person missing you is not proof that they can love you well. A person texting you after silence is not proof that they're ready, mature, clear, or capable. Sometimes people come back because they are lonely. Sometimes they come back because access was convenient. Sometimes they come back because the backup option got quiet. Sometimes they come back because your absence interrupted their comfort, not because it awakened their character. That's called confusion between attention and intention. And if you don't learn that distinction, you will keep mistaking movement for meaning. A message is movement. A late night hey is movement. A view on your story is movement. A random breadcrumb after weeks of silence is movement. But is it meaning? Is it intention? Is it consistency? Is it accountability? Is it clarity? Is it a changed pattern backed by changed behavior? Or is it just emotional static entering your system again? This is why no contact matters, because distance reveals what closeness concealed. When you are constantly interacting, constantly checking, constantly talking, constantly negotiating, you can't see clearly. Emotion keeps the water muddy, access keeps the wound open, familiarity keeps the fantasy alive. But silence does something powerful. It removes the noise, it removes the performance, it removes the ability to keep pretending that mixed signals are deep signals. Silence exposes. Silence shows whether they truly value you enough to move with clarity. Silence shows whether you value yourself enough to stop chasing confusion. Silence shows whether what you had was connection or dependency. Silence shows whether your hope was rooted in evidence or hunger. That's why the question, will no contact bring them back, is the wrong first question. The better question is, what am I becoming while I wait? Are you becoming clearer or more obsessive, stronger or more desperate, grounded or more reactive, more self-respecting or more emotionally available to somebody who has not earned access to you? Because whatever no contact brings back to you first is what you actually need to deal with. Maybe it brings back your anxiety. Good, now you can see it. Maybe it brings back your emptiness. Good, now you can address it. Maybe it brings back your habit of making one person the center of your emotional universe. Good. Now the real work can begin. Most people don't want that work. They want the shortcut. They want silence to do the heavy lifting their character hasn't done yet. They want time to create value where they have not yet created boundaries. They want absence to manufacture respect, while they still secretly have none for themselves. And that's why even when the other person returns, nothing truly changes. Because if you were willing to betray your standards just to stop feeling abandoned, you will do it again. If you were willing to accept ambiguity because you feared loss, you will accept it again. If you never healed the part of you that confuses being wanted with being safe, you will repeat the same cycle with the same person or a new one in a different outfit. So what does it cost you when you misuse no contact? It costs you time. It costs you dignity. It costs you sleep. It costs you focus. It costs you momentum. It costs you the version of yourself that had direction before this person became your weather. You stop training. You stop building. You stop reading. You stop creating. You stop leading your own life. You stop being present in your own body. You stop respecting the hours of your day because your mind is camped outside somebody else's decision. That's the cost. And here's the part nobody says loudly enough. When you spend months emotionally frozen over one person's indecision, you are not being loyal. You are being unavailable to your own future. You are delaying your own life in the name of a story that may already be over. That's called self-neglect, wearing the mask of devotion. Now let's reframe it the right way. No contact is not punishment. No contact is not manipulation. No contact is not a trick. No contact is a return to reality. Reality says if someone wants access to you, they should move with clarity. Reality says if a relationship requires you to chase, decode, beg, wait, and shrink, the problem is not your patience. The problem is the arrangement. Reality says your nervous system is not supposed to live in permanent uncertainty while you call it love. Reality says self-respect is not loud, but it is firm. Reality says closure is not always given. Sometimes closure is what you build when you stop reopening the door. And once you see no contact as reality instead of strategy, everything changes. Now you are not sitting there asking, how long until they miss me? Now you are asking, how long until I stop abandoning myself? Now you are not watching for signs. Now you are watching your standards. Now you are not trying to trigger their fear of loss. Now you are trying to end your own addiction to mixed signals. That is power, not fake power, real power. The power to let silence be silence. The power to stop narrating their behavior. The power to stop turning crumbs into hope. The power to stop confusing chemistry with character. The power to admit, yes, I miss them, and no, that does not mean they belong in my life. That sentence alone can save you years. Because missing someone is not a mandate. Love is not a contract. Attachment is not evidence. History is not destiny. There are people you can love who are still wrong for your life. There are people you can miss who still disturb your peace. There are people you can want who still do not get access to the man you are becoming. That's maturity. Now let me paint the archetype for you because this matters. You need a model in your mind. You need a picture of the man who handles this correctly, not the boy who performs indifference. The man who embodies self-respect. The man does not use silence as theater. He uses it as alignment. He does not disappear to provoke panic. He steps back because confusion is beneath his standards. He does not sit around rehearsing revenge fantasies or imaginary comeback speeches. He gets quiet and then he gets to work. He feels the loss, yes. He doesn't numb it with ego. He doesn't drown it in fake abundance talk. He faces it, but he does not kneel to it. He wakes up and handles his body. He handles his room. He handles his money. He handles his commitments. He handles his word. He handles his mind. He does not need to announce that he is healing. His life starts showing it. He becomes harder to shake because he is rooted in something deeper than romance, purpose, discipline, faith, mission, brotherhood, standards. The man is not cold. He is clear. He is not bitter. He is boundaried. He is not unavailable. He is discerning. He is not trying to prove his value to someone who cannot recognize it. He knows that what is valuable does not beg to be appraised correctly by the wrong person. That line matters. Burn it into your mind. The man does not chase closure from someone who gave him confusion. He creates closure by refusing further confusion. He does not keep one foot in hope and one foot in truth. He stands fully in truth, even when it hurts, especially when it hurts. Because pain faced honestly makes you stronger. Pain avoided makes you needy. The man understands that self-respect is not found in speeches. It is found in what you tolerate. It is found in what you walk away from. It is found in what you stop explaining. It is found in the moment you realize that your peace is too expensive to keep paying for with your pride. That's the man. And if you want to know whether no contact will bring them back, start here. Become the man who no longer needs that answer to move with dignity. Because the moment you no longer need it, you stop leaking power. The moment you no longer need their return to validate your worth, you become dangerous in the best way. Calm, solid, unhooked. You stop negotiating with ghosts. Now let's get brutally practical, because inspiration without instruction is just entertainment. Do this. First, cut the channels that keep the wound alive. Stop checking their socials. Stop asking mutual friends. Stop revisiting old messages. Stop playing detective with digital breadcrumbs. Stop searching for coded meaning in silence. If they want to speak clearly, they can speak clearly. Anything else is noise. Remove the stimulus, because every tiny hit of information restarts the withdrawal. Every glance becomes a reset. Every peek becomes permission for obsession. Do this next. Clean your environment, your room, your phone, your routines. Archive what needs archiving. Delete what needs deleting. Put away objects that turn your mind into a museum. You are not preserving love. You are preserving emotional access. There's a difference. Make your space. Stop talking about them every 5 minutes. Then do this. Get your body moving every day, even when you don't feel like it, especially when you don't feel like it. Lift, run, walk, sweat, breathe hard, because heartbreak sits in the body, not just the mind. Your system is carrying stress, rejection, agitation, fantasy, adrenaline. Movement gives that energy somewhere to go. You do not think your way out of every emotional spiral. Sometimes you train your way out. Sometimes you breathe your way out. Sometimes you sleep your way out. Sometimes you eat like a grown man and your brain starts working again. Do this after that. Rebuild structure fast. Wake up at a set time. Make your bed. Handle work. Limit idle hours. Fill the day with necessary friction, not fake busyness, real responsibility. Your mind is most dangerous when it has no mission. Emptiness invites obsession. Structure interrupts fantasy. Then do this. Tell the truth in writing, not the dramatic truth, the useful truth. Write down what actually happened, not what you hoped it meant, not the highlights, the pattern, the inconsistencies, the disrespect, the anxiety, the waiting, the excuses you made for them, the excuses you made for yourself. Write the reality so that when loneliness tries to edit the past, you have receipts from your sane mind. Then do this. Stop romanticizing your lowest standard. Some of you are grieving access to chaos. Some of you are calling it a deep connection because the highs were intense. Intensity is not intimacy. Anxiety is not passion. Intermittent reinforcement is not love. That's called conditioning. That's called addiction. That's called a nervous system getting hooked on unpredictability and mistaking it for depth. Then do this. Redirect your attention into competence. Learn something, build something, fix something, earn something. Create evidence that your life is expanding, not shrinking, because confidence is not built by repeating affirmations in a dark room while staring at your phone. Confidence is built by keeping promises to yourself. Confidence is built by action, stacked on action until your self-image has no choice but to update. Then do this. Guard your interpretation if they come back. Because they might. And if they do, do not lose your mind. Do not let one message erase the reason you had to disappear. Do not let nostalgia overrule pattern recognition. Do not confuse relief with wisdom. Slow down, watch, listen, measure effort, measure consistency, measure accountability. Measure whether the new energy lasts beyond the moment they feel your distance. Ask yourself hard questions. Are they clear now? Or just curious? Are they accountable or just emotional? Are they offering stability or just reopening access? Are they different or just temporarily uncomfortable with losing control of the old dynamic? A person coming back is not the miracle. A changed pattern is the miracle. Anything less is a rerun. And if they never come back, then good. Let that truth sharpen you instead of shrinking you, because now you know. Now the fantasy can die. Now the bargaining can end. Now your life can stop being suspended from another person's decision. Sometimes the gift of no contact is not reunion. It is release. It is the end of your addiction to maybe. It is the death of false hope. It is the quiet realization that what you were chasing was not always love. Sometimes it was the desire to finally be chosen by the kind of person who kept making you feel unchosen. And that wound goes deeper than dating. That wound is old. That wound is childhood for some of you. That wound is abandonment. That wound is proving yourself. That wound is earning affection. That wound is trying to win warmth from emotionally inconsistent people, because part of you still believes love must be chased to be real. But real love does not require you to betray yourself for a chance at being kept. Real love does not thrive on ambiguity. Real love does not make self-respect feel like a threat. So when you ask, will no contact bring them back? Understand what your heart may really be asking. Can I still be enough if they don't return? That is the deeper question. That is the real battlefield. And the answer is yes. Yes, you can. But only if you stop outsourcing your worth to another person's decision. Only if you stop calling your hunger intuition. Only if you stop building your identity around being chosen instead of being solid. This is where your life changes. It changes when you stop asking what silence is doing to them and start asking what silence is revealing in you. It changes when you stop trying to be unforgettable and start becoming undeniable to yourself. It changes when you stop managing their perception and start managing your standards. It changes when you stop performing strength and start practicing it in private. In the gym when nobody sees. In the morning when the loneliness hits. At night when the urge to check their page creeps in. In the moment you want to send the text. In the moment you almost break. In the moment you tell yourself, no, I do not reopen wounds just because I miss what hurt me. That is strength. Not loud, not flashy, not quote-worthy. Real. And understand this too. Moving on is not betrayal. Healing is not coldness. Letting go is not proof that it meant nothing. Sometimes the deepest respect you can have for what you felt is to stop dragging it through a dynamic that keeps degrading it. Sometimes the honorable thing is to bury what had potential because reality never matched it. Sometimes love is real and still not enough. Sometimes connection is real and still not sustainable. Sometimes chemistry is real and still not safe. That's adulthood. And adulthood is painful because it asks you to choose truth over fantasy, pattern over promise, peace over pull, self-respect over temporary relief. Most people won't do it. Most people will break no contact the moment loneliness punches them in the chest. Most people will take the breadcrumb. Most people will ignore the pattern because they miss the person. Most people will call that hope. But you don't need more hope without evidence. You need standards with backbone. You need a spine. You need stillness. You need to become a man whose peace is no longer for sale. And once that shift happens, something incredible starts to happen inside you. Your energy returns. Your sleep starts to improve. Food tastes normal again. Music stops sounding like a funeral. Your mind stops revolving around one name. Your focus comes back. Your humor comes back. Your ambition comes back. Not all at once, not dramatically, but steadily, quietly, like a city turning its lights back on after a storm. That is what no contact is supposed to do. Not make them suffer. Make you sober. Sober from fantasy. Sober from attachment. Sober from the delusion that access equals love. Sober from the lie that your value depends on their recognition. When you get sober, you see clearly. When you see clearly, you choose better. When you choose better, your whole life changes. And one more thing, do not turn your heart hard in the process. This is not about becoming cynical. This is not about hating them. This is not about pretending you never cared. It's about learning to care without crawling. It's about learning to feel deeply without losing yourself completely. It's about keeping your heart open, but your standards armed. Soft heart, strong frame. That's the balance. You can wish them well and still never speak again. You can miss them and still move on. You can love what was and still reject what is. You can grieve honestly and still refuse another round of disrespect. That's not contradiction. That's emotional maturity. So will no contact bring them back? Maybe. Sometimes. For some people. For some situations. But that is not the prize. The prize is that it brings you back to yourself. The prize is that it interrupts your self-abandonment. The prize is that it teaches you who you become when nobody is choosing you in the way you hoped. The prize is that it forces you to build an identity that does not collapse when one person walks away. The prize is that it gives you the chance to stop being ruled by longing and start being led by truth. And if they come back after that, fine. You'll be in a better position to judge it. And if they don't, fine. You'll still have your life. You'll still have your standards. You'll still have your mission. You'll still have your name. You'll still have the man in the mirror. And that man will know he did not trade his dignity for another hit of temporary hope. That matters more than a reunion ever could. Because at the end of the day, the real victory is not being wanted again. The real victory is becoming someone who no longer collapses at the thought of not being wanted by the wrong person. That is freedom. That is peace. That is masculine self-respect. Not dominance. Not emotional shutdown. Not ego games. Self-command, self-honor, self-trust. You become dangerous when you can feel pain without obeying it. You become powerful when you can miss someone without pursuing what weakens you. You become free when your identity stops kneeling before another person's indecision. So stand up in your own life again. Eat better, sleep better, train harder, work cleaner, pray deeper, speak less, mean more, stop checking, stop waiting, stop bargaining, stop performing indifference, stop auditioning for a role in somebody else's unfinished story, redirect, rebuild, refocus, reclaim your time, your body, your thoughts, your standards, your future. And when the weak part of you whispers, "But what if they come back?" answer it like a man. If they do, they meet a different version of me. If they don't, I still win. Either way, my life moves forward. That is the frame. Carry it, because you are not here to spend the best years of your life emotionally handcuffed to uncertainty. You are not here to measure your worth through response times and read receipts and digital smoke signals. You are not here to beg reality to validate what should have been obvious through behavior. You are here to become solid, clear, disciplined, alive. You are here to build a life so grounded in purpose and self-respect that love, when it comes, adds to your center instead of becoming your center. That's when love gets healthier. That's when your choices get cleaner. That's when your presence gets stronger. That's when your standards stop sounding harsh and start sounding holy. So if you're in no contact right now, stop staring at the silence like it's empty. It's not empty, it's revealing, it's training, it's stripping away every illusion you used to hide inside. Let it do its work. Let it burn off the weakness. Let it expose the dependency. Let it show you exactly where you have been giving away your power. And then take that power back with both hands. No speeches, no revenge, no fake glow up for attention, no dramatic exits, just truth, just discipline, just a man rebuilding from the inside out. And remember this, when the loneliness hits hardest, you are not waiting to be rescued by a text. You are not waiting for someone else to restore your value. You are not one reply away from becoming whole. You are the answer. The structure you build is the answer. The standards you keep are the answer. The peace you protect is the answer. The man you choose to become in private is the answer. That is how you move on. That is how you grow. That is how you stop losing yourself in the name of love. And if you want more truth like this, subscribe. Not for entertainment, for alignment. For those days when your emotions get loud and your standards get quiet. For those moments when you need a voice that reminds you who you are becoming. Stay close to this kind of message, and stay close to people who would rather tell you the truth than help you romanticize your own self-destruction. You're not alone in this. There are people here choosing clarity, choosing discipline, choosing self-respect, and if that's you, then you belong here.